A few years ago, I had the opportunity to go to the Sleeping Bear sand dunes in northern Michigan. If you're not familiar with these sand dunes, they are enormous. They actually span a couple miles out and take you to the lake there. And what's cool is there's a trail that you can go on, and it's really easy. Takes you right from the beginning of the dunes all the way to the lake. And at the lake, it's just majestic and beautiful, and you can just kind of sit back and look at the water and admire God's creation. But I chose to take a different route. I did not want to take the trail. I decided to do things my own way, and I veered off probably 100 or 200 feet to the right of the trail, and I decided to make my own trail. And as I was climbing, not walking, but climbing up this sand dune, I was realizing that my footing kept slipping, and I would start climbing up, and I'd get 3 or 4 or 5 steps ahead, but then I would slide down, and I would be like 8 or 10 steps behind, and I'd try to regroup, and I'd start walking and climbing up this hill again, and then again I would slide back down, and it was just a mess. It took me way longer to get to the destination than I would have if I would have just stayed on the original path. And while I was climbing these sand dunes, there was no way that I could really get there in time because I kept slipping, I kept falling. I was doing this on my own accord, and I could have just done it the easy way. Well, the Bible talks about this same thing in the book of Psalms. If you open the book of Psalms and you go to chapter 37 and look at verse 23 and 24, it says this: The Lord makes firm the steps of the one who delights in him. Though he may stumble, he will not fall, for the Lord upholds him with his hand. Now, what does this verse mean? There's a few things you can take out of this. Since I wasn't on the right path, of course, I was going to stumble, I was going to fall. But when you're walking with the Lord, He makes sure that your steps are firm. It's not like climbing up a sand dune, it's more like walking on a flat plane. It also says that God, the Lord will make firm the steps of the one who delights in Him. How do we delight in the Lord? Well, when we find our footing in God, we delight in Him by having an actual relationship with Him. We find delight in Him by reading His Word. We find delight in Him by using us every single day of our life. And then it says, though he may stumble, he will not fall. In this life, you're going to stumble, and you're going to stumble a lot. But God will lift you up. He'll make sure you do not fall. And it says at the end of verse 24, for the Lord upholds him with his hand. So let me encourage you today. If you're on your path and it feels like you're climbing up a stinking sand dune when all you want to do is walk straight on an even grounded path, ask the Lord for help. Because the verse says here, the Lord makes firm the steps of the one who delights in him. Do you delight in the Lord today? Do you need help with your walk? Just ask him, because he will uphold you and he'll make sure you don't fall.